Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. This video is going to seem kind of rushed in a sense, in that the way I get through the questions is going to be rushed. I noticed there are a ton more comments this week for some reason. I'm hoping that that's because there's like an argument somewhere in one of the threads. But just in case, I'm going to be treating the questions a little bit more, I guess, promptly, if that makes sense. Because I'm actually strapped for time outside of this today as well. I've got a lot of stuff to get through, and I've got a Baldur's Gate 3 session tonight. So I just kind of want to move quick. So I apologize in advance. I'm not going to lightning round it, but I am going to... I'll probably lightning round more than I usually do. But I'm not going to lightning round the whole thing, is all I'm saying. But anyway, I want to get started with that. So... thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They don't have to, they choose to. All my content is available for free here on YouTube. I'm even considering starting a second channel for FromSoft related titles, but that's still a maybe because every time I think about doing it, other things catch my attention, and you know, that's just a constant grind. But thank you to all of them, and of course, be sure to check out all the affiliate links in the description. Oh, one thing I do want to shout out. If you're someone who watches me here on YouTube, there's a high probability you probably don't watch me over on Twitch. But just in case there's any crossover for you, in case you didn't know, Twitch has a September thing going on right now where basically new subs get a 25% discount. 6-month subs get a 30% discount. Even 3-month subs get a 25% discount as well. But essentially, they're massively discounted. It's one of the biggest months of the year. So if you've ever wanted to show support, that's one of the best ways to do it. I'm a 70-30 partner on Twitch. So if people do the 6-month sub, I essentially get paid 100% of whatever they sub with. So I know I'm shilling a bit here, but hey, I do this for a living. You know, I'm doing it over there. I'm just doing over here too, you know, in case anyone here uses the platform, because I don't really talk about the Twitch side of things all that much. I get 100% of that, basically. That's better than tipping. That's better than bits. That's better than subbing normally, of course. So I figured I might as well throw the shout out here. But I'm already going on too long here with this intro, and I got to get going. So let's get started with the Q&A. Hashtag horrendously huge hashtags on a Monday with Mrhappy. Of all the weeks, I wanted to go fast, right? Hey, yo, Haps. Hope all is well with you, and a handful of hellos in case anyone missed theirs. You got it, and hello back. As we get closer to the final patch of Endwalker and post-MSQ conclusion, there have been a lot of comments and concerns about the state of the game, and more people have been issues with Endwalker currently, such as burnout, apathy, and not wanting to play the game, among other reasons. With this being said, and eventually hindsight in 2020, would it be safe to say that Endwalker can end up being the worst expansion, or worst expansion with the caveat of in terms of lack of endgame content that keeps people interested in logging into play? No, that would be Heavensward. Nothing can beat Heavensward. Heavensward was god-awfully atrocious for literally anyone, even hardcore raiders, who wanted to play. If you weren't someone who was capable of beating Gordius, you essentially barely had an expansion until 3.4. So, no, nothing's ever going to beat that. There was a ton to do. The biggest problem was replayability, not lack of activities. And that's something they definitely need to address going forward. But I still think, in terms of a balanced experience, Stormblood is still probably the pinnacle. Behind that is Shadowbringers. Behind that is Endwalker. Then behind that is A Realm Reborn, then Heavensward. So that it's in the very middle for me. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. Hello, hello. Hi. Hope the cats are well. Hi, Ivy. Aloha looks like he's fine. Ivy just walked past me. First time throwing a question, was wondering, we've had some really interesting emotes that have been really intricate and fun. Is there any emote ideas you want to hear people talk or ask for? No, I don't pay attention that much to them. So I think this just isn't my wheelhouse. I don't think of this. Like sometimes like in the moment, I'd be like, yo, what if? But like there's nothing I'm like bottling up and like saying, oh yeah, they should absolutely do that. Your FC has always wanted more boss animations, like from the figures. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, but like that's not my thing, so I don't actively think about it, so it's hard for me to have an idea on hand for that. Hashtag Happy Monday with the cats. Hi, cats. They didn't say anything. What food does Mrhappy feed you? Does it have similar frozen meat cubes we get over here in Europe? So what I actually get is I use a brand called Smalls. I have them shipped to me frozen, and it's basically human-grade meat. It's really for Aloha's stomach. Ivy can eat anything. She's young and, you know, whatever. She never has any issues with her stools. But Aloha's stomach very easily gets upset, and then he doesn't want to eat things. So we get just a couple of different things from them. And since it's human-grade, he's always pining after my food. It's essentially like he's eating, you know, chicken when I cook it. It's just I'm giving him, you know, human-grade chicken. So that's what I feed them. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Well met, Mr. Happy. Hello. What's your favorite Magic Spoon cereal flavor? I think I said, what was it? Maple waffle. Yeah, maple waffle, definitely the number one. I think the most basic, like the cocoa and frosty flavors are okay, but it's the specialty flavors and the months of doing the sponsorship that I've liked the most. Cinnamon roll, maple waffle, birthday cake. You know, the ones that are, you know, they stand out on a shelf. If you were to tell me, oh, they have a cereal that's that flavor, those are the ones I think end up being best. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope your spirit is feeling stronger. It is. My legs aren't. I almost fell in the middle of the road. I was crossing during a red light. I was crossing to get to the other side because that's what you do during red lights. And I literally almost fell because I was walking home from my leg workout day, and they are dying today. But gains. I'm a boomer from the PS3 side of the retrospective series. Yes, it takes me back to the laughs and struggles at times. Do you think Square will consider giving us a personal damage meter? No. If they were going to do it, they would have done it years ago. This has been a topic for literally 6, 7, 8 years, maybe even almost 9, like back into A Realm Reborn. If they were going to do it, they would have done it. So there's really no reason to expect it at all. Generally speaking, you just need to have some cohesive understanding of your job, be able to kill the bosses, and that's fine enough. You should, if you know a job well enough, you can spot mistakes. And the numbers being wrong won't tell you that, what the mistakes were. And we do have tools online that aren't even like, you know, the barses that people are known for. You can literally feed, well, I mean, technically they are. You have to feed that log into the thing, and then it'll tell you, you know, what your average mistakes are. But no, I don't think we'll ever see personal meters. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy. Hi. Hope you and the cats are well. Doing swell. If my voice sounds a little raspy, whenever I eat, I tend to get like a raspy voice, and I had lunch right before this, especially if there's any like cheese in it. And I made a little egg white omelet with some spicy veggies, did some asparagus stalks, did some mushrooms, a little bit of mozzarella cheese. That always like congests me for whatever reason. Anyway, as we inch slowly closer to the release of Dawn Trail, I've been leveling many of my alt jobs to 90 in the meantime. Pushing buttons and raids are the primary way I've been enjoying the game since I started during Endwalker. During leveling, I'm feeling increasingly that jobs are starting to feel more homogenous as they approach cap outside of Black Mage. If I had to guess, it is towards the higher levels jobs conform more into the 2-minute meta as we gain buttons that are largely burst windows. Accurate. With this in mind, I'm becoming less excited about possible job growth and even new jobs since I doubt SE will do anything too different. Can you foresee much change in the climb to 100? No, I mean, the climb has been the same for years and years and years. They essentially establish... They do one of two things. They either establish the entirety of the job's current end game cap identity in a 10 level range, or they add just barely a few new things that don't disrupt it. Those are the only two formulas you'll ever see outside of a brand new rework, in which case it's not just the last 10 levels that's changed, it's probably all the levels before that as well. So there's just not much else that you can expect from that. I mean, that's just standard in general when it comes to level growth in an MMO without any sort of major like uprooting system changes. The only thing I want to change is the 2-minute meta, and even that I wouldn't expect them to change. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. And a spare hello since they were hard to find last week. They sure were. Goodness gracious. Question from someone who started Savage and Asphodelos and now wants to improve and look into Week 1 Prog. What are some qualities you prefer to have or not have in teammates for Week 1 World Race Prog? Do you have any advice for someone who wants to get there for 7.0? Be able to do mechanics. I don't care if you're gold or pink or orange or high purple 16 weeks into a tier when you're joining PFs. I care if you can do the damn mechanic on the week of and not be a liability at the same time. I don't need you to be top of the chain of everything. But if I'm over here doing less than you, but I don't die on any single pull, we are getting further with more people like me on the team than we are with the person who's like, they wipe because they died on the mechanic and they spend the next 16 pulls dying because they're like, man, I swear I can get that GCD there. I don't care if you can get that GCD there. Stop dying. So focus on that first. Then, you know, once you make sure you got the mechanics down, work on the rest of it. You know, make sure you use your mitigation on time. Memorize when you need to use mitigation. Make sure your damage is good. No, do that stuff too. But stop dying to the damn mechanic because you need to greed one GCD. Stop it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hiya, sir. Hello. Hope you're doing well this fine and hopefully day. Also hopefully day and hopefully. I don't know how I got that. I always thought the extra 10 levels for new jobs were to help reduce bottleneck for everyone hitting leveling zones. Yeah, that's another reason. There's a ton of logical reasons why that goes into it. But that's definitely one of them. Wouldn't help on extreme, but would mean less people in the zones. That giving us 2. Yeah, but we also have instancing now. We have more servers. We have all sorts of stuff. Oh, there wasn't... a question here. So freebie this week. Okay, well, thanks, and I'm going to move on now. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. Hope you're well and feeling fit. I feel strong. My question is, how did you get started in content creation? How did you know you wanted to make FF or streaming your career? I never wanted to make Final Fantasy a career. That was never the idea. No, I literally just started making videos while I was working in New York. And then when I lost that job, I went full just into it because I didn't have anything else. I'd also injured my shoulder. No, I didn't even injure my shoulder at the gym. I injured my shoulder at work right before being let go because they were downsizing the company. And so I didn't have the gym and I didn't have work anymore. So I was completely free to do whatever I want. That was it. And then it just so happened that Final Fantasy 14 was coming out, in a few months after that. So I just did that. I would love to have more regular content on other stuff. But, you can see, even just look at my Baldur's Gate 3 uploads, just look at my Armored Core uploads. Like, those are things I'm really interested in uploading. But they don't do well, which is why the second channel comes to mind for stuff that's more focused on, like, dark, gritty RPG, FromSoft stuff, Baldur's Gate, D&D, stuff like that. Because I just need a different place algorithm-wise to put that stuff. But even then, that's still a lot of time, a lot of effort. I already managed one channel. I finally got someone to help with the VOD channel, so we're seeing regular uploads over there. Thank you, Anna Bye. And on top of that, Twitch 7 hours a day. Plus, I've been trying to make more time for my friends, for the gym, cooking. Like, I'm one person, so that's a big if that's going to happen. But it's been on my mind a lot more. But that's really all there is to it. There's more to it specifically, but that would need a whole video to explain. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. I got a cat here. Ugh. Ivy, did you do this? Come on now. You're just sitting over here. How you doing? Wanted to say, been really enjoying your content. Keep up the great work. Thank you. It's like a passing thought. Been playing 13 lately and really enjoying and learning its influence on every game after. Seeing a lot of end spells. It's like other games recently. So a surprise 14 never really had that in any job. Well, Red Mage kind of, but in a proper way. Yeah, Final Fantasy 11 has end spells, but the idea of enchanting your blade with an element kind of doesn't make sense in a game where elements don't matter. You can do it and give each of them a separate effect. And I think that, when people want something like Rune Fencer, if that were to happen, or, or whatever other, Sword Saint, whatever people want. I think all that's possible, but it wouldn't work in the same way. It works better in games where elements matter. So that's why you don't really see it in Final Fantasy 14. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Love your content. Thank you. Keep up the awesome work. I'll try. I was wondering what your predictions, wants were for Dawn Trail, Normal, and Alliance Raid Series. There's no way to even want or guess, or there's no reasonable way to even begin to think about that. Like, I'm sure if you're a Final Fantasy 11 fan, you could start thinking of stuff that's from, like, Otter Gone, but even that would have to be somewhat different. And then there's always places in the world that exist now that you like, oh, I wish we could go back and explore that. But to me, there's no reasonable way to do it. Also, not a chance. I don't want a Final Fantasy. I don't want a collab raid. Even if it's based on a Final Fantasy game, like, Return to Ivalice is fine. I don't want anything that's like Nier, where it's a full-on collab. Even if it was like another like Square title. It's just, it just doesn't matter. I want stuff that's focused around building Final Fantasy XIV's world more than anything. I don't pine to have series based after things, but if they are going to do them, I want to see them done well. Stuff like the Crystal Tower, which I think is a better example, and Return to Ivalice. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Howdy, Haps. Hi. I've been doing a lot of PF recently. Incredibly frustrating experience. Yup. Totally handle the inconsistent gameplay and the arguing about strats. The thing that bothers me most is waiting for a group to fill for hours only to pull once or twice. Do you have any advice on getting around pushing through that? I mean, you have to sit there and do it. That's like asking for, it's like asking, oh, I got on this roller coaster. Do you have any advice on how to, I don't know. That's a terrible analogy. I think you knew where I was going with it, but I was like, oh, no. It's like getting online for a roller coaster at Six Flags and asking me how to handle being in line longer. There's nothing to it but to do it, or to pay for the flash pass, but that's not an option here. So no, you just have, if that's what you want to do, that's what you got to do. And you can't make people join faster. That's just how it is, Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy. Hi. Pretty straightforward question with hopefully a straightforward answer. Hopefully. What's your over-under on the Dragoon changes? Man, the only reason it's going to be a straightforward answer is because there's no way to predict it. Will we get a whole new build akin to Summoner, or are they going to streamline the abilities? They said it would be Ninja-esque, like Ninja's 5.1 rework. So I imagine taking elements that are clunky off GCDs, making them on GCDs, and then replacing on GCDs with other stuff, or just pruning them away altogether. I suspect the 5-part combo is going to be gone. If it's not, then it's just going to all be built into the initial 3-part combo. So it'll be like 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 again, but they'll be upgraded with the jumps then being on the GCD and then other abilities being off. That's what I expect. Something Ninja-esque would be making the thing that it's known best for, in this case, the jumps, its core mechanic, and taking the combo thing and kind of putting it on the, on the back burner. So, yeah, I can't see it being done in any other way, but, you know, who knows? Because they told us it was getting a rework. The rework was originally due for 6.1, and then they said the scope had changed and it had gotten so big that they had to push it back for 7.0. So what they said before really doesn't matter. So we have no way of knowing. Hashtag Mr. Happy. Wait, Mr. Mondays with the Happy. Ah, you got me there. Howdy, Haps. Howdy. Hope you're well and finding some time to just relax every now and then. Ha! Funny guy. So the question was about removing party-wide buffs. Got me wondering, do you think limiting the players to how many party-wide buffs they can have active would change anything, or not really? No, you still have to make as big a possible use of that time as possible. Instead of the party stacking all their buffs every 2 minutes, they could spread them out across 2 minutes. I mean, you still have to make the best use. Whatever the biggest buff is, all of your opener goes there. And if you're going to limit that, all you're doing is you're forcing people to stagger when they see. It doesn't change anything, unfortunately, because you still have optimal and suboptimal. And you can't just hop in or you're suboptimal for the entire rest of the fight. I mean, that just ends up being the key problem, is if you die at a bad time, you're screwed for the rest of the fight. That used to not be the case. It used to be a little worse, but you weren't screwed. If you do this, you're still screwed, because if all your best skills are still outside of the best possible buff window, then you're not just worse off. You're just like, again, you're just worse for the rest of the fight. There's no like catching back up. There's no getting back into the rhythm of it. And that's the problem. All this doesn't achieve anything at the end of the day. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hey, Haps. Hi. Just joined a static a few weeks ago, and we're on P12S Limit Cut. Man, I wish this didn't happen all the time. And you're like, oh, Haps, take a sip of water. That doesn't do anything. In fact, it makes it worse for me. I need something like a green apple. I'm on Dragoon in the 2-minute window during Super Chain 1 is brutal, with all the buffs coming out and the jumps locking me in place for a sec. General question, but are those type of mechanics where groups delay their buffs? Oh, yeah. Super Chain 2A is a place where people delay buffs later in that very same fight. So yeah, I mean, that's not all too abnormal to delay buffs, but something like that it's a matter of just getting used to it more so. There's nothing that really harms your ability to do damage other than the fact you're doing a mechanic and you're 2 minutes at the same time. You don't have to like leave melee range. So that's why everyone just fires off there, and it's up to you to improve to make sure that you stay on course for that one. If you die during a pull, is it better to delay your buffs? No, you never want to lose a full use of your buffs. So if you are going to delay buffs, you need to be very aware of how much time is left in the encounter. And that's just the kind of thing that most people aren't going to do. So yeah, no, you want to fire off. Unless it's like 15 seconds away. Like if you died 15 seconds before a burst window, great. If you die in the middle of a 2-minute window, no, you can't wait. Because that's a whole 2 minutes that you're losing in there, because it's just 2 minutes that are gone because you tried to hold it till the next one. So yeah, you got to go immediately on that. Hashtag Happy Happies with Monday. Hello. Hi. Are there any emotes from existing animations you'd like to see? Wow, it's the second emote question. Only the brand. Actually, the only one that came to mind is one you already said, the Brandy Hildy. You know what? I guess that does go to the thing that somebody asked before. This is what I mean. When something's presented in front of me, I can be like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea. Brandy Hildy. Yeah, that's that one. Or even Hildebrand or Brandy Hildy. Both of them. You know, that same thing, but the variation. Yeah, I guess that covers the question before and this one. And you're the one who said it, so you get the credit for that. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, good day. Yeah, I know, it's a wave. I got it. Don't worry. Do you think the devs implementing equipment effects like on the crystalline tools that we will see them implementing in perhaps Blue Mage equipment soon, or even combat classes? No, we've had effects like that for ages. We've had them in Eureka, we've had them in Bozja. Heck, we even had set bonuses in A Realm Reborn on the Grand Company stuff. None of that matters. They're not going to give us anything more interesting in terms of gear. They're doing it for Disciples or Hand and Land because they're trying to make them stand out from the raw stats that people have to just macro through everything. And even that's not proving to be the most successful sort of encouragement to move away from that style of playing crafters and gatherers. So, yeah, I don't expect it. No. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. With so many zone side quests being gathering materials for people, fetch quests, I was wondering, while the odds of being implemented are close to, if not 0%, do you think the community as a whole would embrace some of these zone side quests being gathering crafting quests? I just thought it'd be nice to have some quests for other disciples. You know, I think a lot of people would actually get behind that. And I think people were asking for that regularly all the way back in A Realm Reborn, and it's just kind of trickled out because we've gotten things like, you know, weekly quest deliveries and all sorts of other activities that kind of fill that void. But yeah, absolutely. People love feeling like their crafters and gatherers can go out into the world and be a part of the world outside of just running between three gathering nodes or sitting in town crafting. So yeah, I think people would like that, but you're right that it's not likely. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. I'm a somewhat recent Sprout, welcome, that are on their merry way to finishing the MSQ, eager to try some endgame stuff. My question is, are there statics that are recruiting newbies this late into the patch cycle, or is PF my only option? There's almost always someone recruiting, but you are most likely going to be co-signed to the party finder, especially once the tier actually fully unlocks, but that's not going to be for a while still. So, yeah, you're most likely going to end up in PF, but you might get lucky and find a group. Maybe. So I skipped a question, so I'm just going to cover why. It was about Sea of Stars and the developer's other titles. I have finished Sea of Stars. I've beaten everything in it, and I don't want to say anything. I'm just trying to refrain from even sort of alluding to anything. So I'm just skipping that question for that reason, because I don't want to say the wrong thing in the answer and it becomes a spoiler. So that's the only reason. But I love Sea of Stars, by the way. Anyway, hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Get back into it. Hello, Haps. Hi. Hope you had a great weekend. Sorry in advance. That's not good. Don't ever say sorry in advance after. I hope you had a great weekend, like it's past tense. I was thinking today after reading something, I was reminded of some stuff Stormblood about how the Warrior of Light has a 1v1 against Xenos at the beginning of the expansion is level 70, making it so all the journey through the level caps function as a way of showing you how the hardships of the war against Garlemald made you stronger to finally beat him at max level. This made me think, however, Xenos being considered probably the strongest character, or one of, how at the beginning of Shadowbringers did we get our butt kicked by Ranjit? Here's my two questions. One, does it mean the old man is stronger than him, and by extension us? I don't think it makes a lot of sense unless I'm actually underestimating him. And two, is the level cap actually part of the lore as a way of showing the hardships in the expansion making you stronger? Or is that just my headcanon? Wouldn't make a lot of sense. So the answer to number two is no. The level cap is not part of the lore in any sort of canon. It's literally just a brand new fighter that we don't know. I mean, that's literally what happens with Xenos too. We're not gaining levels, and thus our level cap is what's catching us up to being able to actually kill him. I could kill that dude at 61 even if he was 70 most likely, as long as he doesn't just one-shot me with something. But with Ranjit, it's literally just a matter of a brand new fighter, brand new fighting style, something we're not familiar with, needing to learn about it, getting acclimated to where we are. There's a lot of elements that go into it across the story, but it is just experience with time, not experience and actually getting experience to level up. That's all it is. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. I have a question about Machinist. I'm not a super expert, but I'll try. Do you think we'll see Bishop Turret brought back to the job in 7.0 so we have a summonable mecha that can focus on AoE damage when we need such a thing for grouped up mobs? No, they'd sooner just give the Robot Queen AoEs. Like if whenever she punches, she like lets out steam or something. Like they'd sooner do that so it's exactly identical to playing between single target and AoE. Yeah. In fact, there you go. Not even she would perform them when we do. I mean, just all of her actions would have some sort of AoE component to them. I think that's overdue and needs to happen for Machinists. It wouldn't like make them that much better in raids, but it's just such a disjointed job that it kind of needs an element like that. Hashtag Mr. Thinking Mondays. Hello, Haps. Hi. Really enjoying the BG3 content. Great. Hopefully you continue to enjoy those as I upload them. I really need to get to doing more of that. I've got three more parts that need editing after today. And I want to get those released weekly because, you know, why not? My question is a bit more philosophical. Do you have any quote, phrase, or saying you believe fundamentally impacted your life? For instance, 3 sayings for me. I don't buy things to own them. I buy things to support them. People are good at recognizing problems and bad at solving them. People are often the architects of their own misfortune. I can think of one quote from a math teacher in high school. She was just teaching us whatever, math, algebra, you know, calculus, whatever it was. I don't even remember. And someone's not paying attention and she demands he pays attention. He says, why do I even need to learn this? Like, I don't have any interest in this. This isn't going to align with what I do in my future. And she said, you know what? You're probably right. You don't need to learn this, but you need to prove that you know how to learn, and you need to learn how to learn. So learning things that you don't necessarily need, or learning things that you don't already know is a means of training your learning ability. So pay attention. And he shut up. So it's not an exact quote, but I guess that sentiment of learning things for the sake of making sure you can learn better is definitely something I think that it's pretty obvious reflects in a lot of my content. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, hello. Hi, hope you're doing well. You too. Do you think that they will ever add Leviathan, Ramu, and Shiva to Summoner's roster? No. Do you think they'll add Glam to them? No. They would have done this years ago. People have been demanding this for like 8 years. And in fact, they even mock you about it in the first Heaven's Ward Summoner quest when you fight Ramu and can't learn it. Ugh. Maybe one day, but I'm not holding on to hope for that anymore. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey Haps, hi. Recently began T-Prog. Nice. That is an ultimate that I had a lot of criticisms about when it came out, and it's gotten better with time. I think that's also because it's not DSR or top, which are just grueling to get through. Currently, we're in the realm of limit cut memes, but we've gotten to BJCC a few times. The music slaps. Cat-related question. Didn't see that coming after all. Oh, you know what? Actually, it makes sense with Alexander that this cat question. Recently got my cat a new scratching post, but he just entirely ignores it. Even tried putting it in the same place as the old one. Would you have any advice to encourage him to use it? Well, if it's the exact same one, it should be okay. If not, I would rub catnip on it personally. You can also try to generally just get their scent, like put your hands and scratch their face and then you touch the post itself. Because if you start marking it for them because they're not marking it, that can help. There's also pheromone related stuff that you can do that kind of attracts cats to locations. It can also discourage them from locations, and it's safe. I would recommend just trying to associate other things they like with that area and just see if they warm up. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey Haps, how you doing? Hello, and I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Just a quick question. I was wondering what you use to stream mobile games from your phone to OBS. So I don't use my phone. I use a Samsung Galaxy S6. I could probably use with a more updated one, but honestly, this does the trick for the most part. Ever Crisis actually runs kind of poorly on this, but only when I'm streaming. It seems that like sending the signal to my PC is what causes that game to lag, which is weird because no other game does that. But when I'm just playing it on this, it's fine. So I'm going to maybe stream a bit of Ever Crisis myself. I'm not sure if it's a certain piece of hardware. I need a particular program. A lot of people would recommend using BlueStacks. There is also the Google Play beta on PC. There's a PC app beta, but it barely works for any of like the really popular stuff. And I don't think it's going to work for Ever Crisis itself. The other thing that I have, because I stream, I actually have a USB-C splitter. So it splits the USB-C output to power and HDMI. So the HDMI gets plugged into my capture device so I can capture this tablet on my screen. And then the power is so it can stay charged because I only have one port and there's no pad that can charge this tablet. In fact, there's very few tablets that have like a chargeable pad that you can put it on in the first place. Annoying, but it's because the battery needs to be designed for it and it's just not at the current time. But yeah, that's all it is. Just a Samsung Galaxy S6 and that particular set of hardware. If you don't care about it dying every few hours and you don't want to charge it at the same time, then you could just do USB-C to HDMI, and that's fine. But I have the splitter so I can charge it at the same time. And I got that from like Dell for like 30-40 bucks or something. All right, and I think that's the last like major question I'm going to take in the form that I normally do. There were a lot, but I think I got through them in a pretty quick manner. I had someone ask me if I think that maybe there's going to be like Zidane's sort of thief sword idea, the swallows that he uses where it's like the twin blade and it, like he pulls them together. Yeah, sure. I mean, why not? I have no proof against it, so I can't say no, that would never happen. I had somebody ask about crit damage and crit rating scaling, like what would be the ideal amount, because Genshin and Honkai have those, but without actually testing it versus the potencies and it's all based on the formula they create for it. I don't think you can accurately say what the crit percentage to crit damage ratio you want. I always say whenever given the option, you generally want to be able to crit about 1/3 to 2/5 the time, and then everything else in damage. That's my like general rule, but that changes with every game. There's a bunch of comments about stuff from last week. There was one about removing the gauge from Samurai's Gap Closer and Gap Creator, which, sure, I mean, I think you could just remove the gauge, make it one button, and it always has to be the back step first. But I think that would be ultra toxic at the same time. So, yeah, probably better to just get rid of the gauge as a whole for the Samurai one. What's it called? What if 7.0 is just a spoiler expansion? We'll get a completely new zone and story for starting players in 8.0. They said they wanted a new like start point for players when 7.0 came out. They said this in an interview after the fact, not on like the main stage or anything like that. But they don't know if it'll be ready. So there's a chance that we have a 6.1 starting point option in 7.0. But I personally don't think they'll have it ready, and I think they'll be a little ahead of themselves on that one. Then what else was there? There's definitely a couple of other ones here. There was a really... Oh, no, I actually answered that one. There was the Sea of Stars thing, which I already addressed earlier. Somebody was asking about how I think they'll do skill upgrades in Dawn Trail. It's always a mix of things. There's no like one formula that they do. Every different job and its abilities are treated differently. So there's no like one answer for that. What would be my weapon choice for a possible pirate class if I could just pick one? I think the cutlass and a I think the whole thing, I think of Corsair of it being a sword and a pistol for me is always going to be quintessential pirate, I think. Then we had, I think there's like one or two other ones that was in here that I didn't answer for any particular reason. I just said I'll come back to it, or maybe there's too many. When I do an updated guide for Boja, I considered it, but there's not that much to say. Most of the things I state are just facts about how to obtain things, and how you obtain things hasn't changed. It's just there's not as many people doing it, so it can be a little bit tougher. So the answer is not no, but the answer is I need a better reason to do it before I would do it. And then I still feel like there was another one that I went past that because I was worried about time, but I'm having a hard time remembering where it was, what it was, if it was. And since I don't see anything that I feel like I haven't answered, I'm going to just assume that I'm done for the week. So that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And if you have a comment, if you have a question, put it in the comment section of the video below. With that, I'll see you all in the next one. And until then, take care.